Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. In this video I'm talking about an Adrian Newey update as well as a new report on Max Verstappen's future. So let's start with Verstappen, and he's been linked with two teams, one being Mercedes, with that having been the case since 2024 with Lewis Hamilton leaving the team, and on top of that Verstappen is also driving Mercedes AMG GT3 cars away from Formula 1. Then you've got McLaren. As we know, Verstappen's longtime race engineer at Red Bull, Gianpiero Lambiase, is leaving for McLaren in 2028 to be their chief racing officer, and as a result Verstappen has been linked with McLaren. Now, McLaren Racing Chief Executive Zak Brown has repeatedly said that he's very happy with his current two drivers at McLaren, those being Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Interestingly though, GP blogs say that British journalist Joe Saward heard the rumour that Verstappen and McLaren had already begun talks, with it saying, "But could McLaren be Verstappen's next destination?" Saward writes in his newsletter that he has heard Verstappen is already in talks with the reigning Constructors' World Champion, and GP blog go on to say, which driver would have to make way for Verstappen also seems clear. That would have to be Oscar Piastri, the Australian driver whose manager has been looking around the F1 paddock for some time for potentially interesting options elsewhere. Now make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss my Formula 1 content and are kept up to date with F1 news. I've recently managed to reach 50,000 subscribers and your support is incredible and means so much to me. Thank you so much for it. Now going back to this Verstappen story, and interestingly, ahead of this report emerging, motorsport.com said that it understands that Red Bull had singled out Oscar Piastri as its preferred replacement for Verstappen should the four-time world champion leave Red Bull. And if Verstappen is already in talks with McLaren and let's say perhaps likes the idea of moving to McLaren, could we see a swap deal between Piastri and Verstappen? I do think that could happen in the future. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. But let's move on to Aston Martin, with there being an update on Adrian Newey. Now, as we know, going into 2026, Newey took up the role of team principal in addition to being a managing technical partner. However, it's been a really bad start to Aston Martin this year. They're right at the back of the grid. The car is unreliable. It's also slow. There is a lot of work to do. In turn, it's been widely reported that Newey is set to step down as team principal of Aston Martin to focus on being a managing technical partner at the team, and that would mean there would need to be a replacement team principal at Aston Martin. And one person who's been heavily linked with that team principal role is Jonathan Wheatley, who recently left Audi as their team principal. Now, nearly 2 months on from Wheatley's Audi exit having been confirmed, we're yet to hear what Wheatley will do next. However, having spent the Miami Grand Prix weekend in the F1 paddock earlier this month, Up to Speed podcast host Jodie Sharp reported back to her co-hosts with gossip from the grid, with Sharp saying on a recent episode of the podcast, as quoted by GP fans, "There's much more chatter now about Wheatley. You know, I think that should be announced to be the new team principal at Aston Martin. I think that's coming," and pushed by co-host Will Buxton to give further details about when the change could come. Sharp added, "A lot sooner. They really want that announcement to be made." There's also been talks that they're thinking around race 14. They're thinking they could get in to Q2. So the atmosphere and energy there, I think, look, they're all used to it. They know what was happening before the season started, and I think any improvement is a big bonus, and they've accepted it, and it's not great. But that's going to be the video from me. Thank you ever so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos, and until the next one, take care. Bye.